Hello, I am Commissioner Emma Darnell, Fulton County District 6. Welcome to Mighty Six Conversations. As you know, Conversations is a monthly information and communication program featuring what we call the sustainable community. Today's conversation, we'll be talking about Fulton County's children. Who cares? Who really cares? Thank you for joining us, and I'll be back in a moment. Joining me in the conversation today is Mr. Tony Phillips, who is the director of the Fulton County Department of Parks and Recreation. Mr. Phillips received his Bachelor of Arts degree from St. Leo University, and we are so happy to have you with us today, Mr. Phillips.
Thank you for having me, Commissioner Darnell.
And you certainly enjoyed our little trip together.
Yes, ma'am. We had a good time.
As we visited the parks at Burdett and at Sandtown.
Yes.
And welcome all.
Yes, ma'am.
Had a great time. Wherever I go, Mr. Phillips, one of the questions that I hear before the end of the evening is, what about the children, Emma?
Yes.
What about the children? I borrowed from Marvin Gaye, as you heard, on Who Really Cares.
Who really cares? Yes, ma'am.
When it comes to the children, I think you know. You're one of the department heads that knows people in Fulton County care about their children.
Most certainly.
Care about their children.
Most certainly.
And the Department of Parks and Recreation, of course, represents one of the primary strategies that the Board of Commissioners has adopted to do more than talk
Yes.
about children. And Mr. Phillips, I thought it would be helpful if you would talk to us today about the parks program.
Certainly.
Parks are coming back a little bit there, aren't they?
Yes, ma'am. We are excited about what the future holds and the services and the tangible difference that we hope to make in the community that we serve. And so it's a bright future for us, Commissioner Darnell, and we're looking forward to doing more and doing a better job for those that we touch every day.
You know, some people think that parks involves only recreation, but I noticed when I looked at your work plan for this quarter that actually the parks is involved with exercise and with recreation, with children having a good time, but you have some other things on the agenda too, don't you, Mr. Phillips?
We certainly do, Commissioner Darnell. We have an approach to servicing our families and children that we like to think is holistic.
Tell us what that means.
That means that we try to provide services across a broad spectrum of areas that hopefully not only deliver healthy outcomes for children, but help them in other ways as well. One of the good examples of that would be our upcoming after-school program. It is a program that focuses on helping children with academics and helping to provide support in that area, which we have found over the years, Commissioner Darnell, is a significant need in the communities that we serve.
We've been told.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
And so that program touches directly with families and children from ages 6 to 12. And we have that after-school program at 4 separate sites throughout unincorporated South Fulton County: Welcome All Park, Sandtown Park, Burdett Park, and Cliftondale Park. And so we're able to serve different parts of South Fulton, having those 4 separate sites. We do that Monday through Friday, each day, beginning at 2:30 until 6 p.m. Children are able to get structured assistance with homework and academics. It provides a safe option for working parents, which we found that to be a really vital key in our community, because many of our families, most of our families, are working families, Commissioner Darnell.
And that's throughout the county.
Oh, that's, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, most families are working families.
And it's the
Yes.
community we serve. And
Yes.
so as a parent, being able to have an option where your child is safe, receiving academic assistance, and in an environment that promotes healthy outcomes, that's a good combination we found for the families that we serve. And so we invest a lot in trying to make sure that that after-school program is reaching as many people in our community as it can.
I believe that also this is one of the areas where you partnership
Yes,
with
ma'am. Yes,
other
ma'am.
community agencies and groups. Tell us about that.
We found that partnerships help us to extend our programming beyond where it otherwise may be able to reach. And we most recently established the previous school year a partnership with an organization known as Future Seekers. And we're really excited. The first year has gone better than we could have expected.
Tell us what happened first year.
What is unique about Future Seekers, Commissioner Darnell, is they service an age group that is frequently underserved in our community, and that's teenagers.
Teenagers,
yes, ma'am.
Bless them.
Ages 13 to 17.
We need to focus more on the teens.
Often when I hear from people in our community sharing some of the concerns that you referenced, Commissioner Darnell,
Yes.
it is often at that age group
Yes, it is.
that many of those concerns are rooted. And so what we try to do is find those partnerships, and Future Seekers has been a real asset for us because they're one of the few programs that focuses solely on that 13 to 17 age group. It is a STEM-based program, science, technology, engineering, and math. So that in and of itself made it attractive because that supports many of the academic outcomes that those students need.
And
in their
areas where they need extra
Certainly.
assistance. Yes.
Certainly, and so it is unique in that it has a STEM-based focus. They have computers that are accessible for all the teens that come into the program. And actually, Commissioner Darnell, they have a program where the students build their own computers that they then use throughout the school
That's
year
fantastic.
to support their academics. And so that's a tremendous connection for where we found a lot of teenagers are. The other asset that's really wonderful about this program is because of the way they are uniquely funded through fresh grants and other grant funding, the program is free to the participants. And so that means it is attainable and affordable for students across the spectrum. They started this past school year at Creel Park.
At Creel?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, we are particularly interested in what they're doing at Creel because we have had to cut back at Creel
Yes, ma'am.
because of the tremendous hit which your department experienced, of course, in 2005
Yes, ma'am.
when I think the new district, South Fulton Tax District, was created.
Yes, ma'am.
And all of the departments, including yours, suffered severe shortages as a result of that. But we've held on.
Yes, ma'am.
And the community has held on.
Yes, ma'am. And that's a really important thing because we understand that though our resources may not be what they once were, our mandate has not changed, which is we
That's
have to
important.
do everything. Yes, ma'am. We have to do everything we can with the resources we have to provide the best possible service. We recognize that that's an ongoing process because we've never arrived. There's always more that we can do and better ways that we connect. But Creel is a good example, to your point, Commissioner Darnell, of an area that had resources in the past that today aren't currently available. And that's why this partnership with Future Seekers was so positive for that community, because it allowed us to at least put a program in place to begin to service that community in ways that it had not been in recent years.
And it's probably true, isn't it, that except for the partnership with Future Seekers, that community center would still be closed.
Yes, ma'am. That is very true.
You know, those children in that community would not have access to these kinds of services.
That's very true, Commissioner Darnell, and that only heightens the importance of us being creative and thinking somewhat outside of the box, if you will, and trying to figure out how do we bring programming that is available and making a difference in our community with the resources we have. Unfortunately, to your point, we don't have all the things we may have had prior to 2005. So thinking about partnerships, finding other ways to bring those resources in is kind
Real
of the direction.
partnerships.
Yes.
Real
Yes.
partnerships. The folks that can bring more than cookies and punch.
Yes, ma'am.
You
Yes,
know,
ma'am.
but bring the kinds of skills and the kinds of equipment. Did I understand you say that Future Seekers provides their own equipment as
Yes, ma'am.
well?
And they have been in business for over 10 years.
I
and
know.
So
We know about them.
Yes, ma'am. Having a track record was important to us because we wanted to partner with organizations that have demonstrated that they know how to service this age group, they know how to bring resources, and Future Seekers certainly met that qualification. And so it was a real asset for us to bring them in and have them begin to provide services in a community center, in a park, that had not previously, at least in recent years, had those types of services available.
Well, actually, in all of our parks, the community would just be overjoyed to have this kind of program. Tell us again, though, the other parks where you have the after-school program.
Currently, that program exists at Welcome All Park, which, as you know, Commissioner Darnell, is our largest recreation center and is able to service the largest number of children because of the staff and facilities available.
Yes.
But it also is housed at Sandtown Park, Burdett Park, and Cliftondale Park. And so we've got those 3 additional sites. And so that is an effort to try to...
They will be operating after-school programs?
Yes, ma'am. All those sites will be operating after-school programs.
So we'll have accounting staff at those?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, okay.
And so those are all managed and maintained by our county staff, and they do an outstanding job of providing that support. And so we're excited about that. We feel that that's one of the programs that meets an immediate need. And so we've got children, fortunately, since we do 6 to 12 in those programs, who have been with us now for a number of years. They've somewhat grown up in our after-school program, began with us as first graders, and many of them stay with us until they reach middle school. And so it's an opportunity to be there and to partner with families over the long term as well.
You're closing soon, I believe this month, your summer camp program?
Yes, ma'am. We are approaching the end of our summer season. It's been a tremendous summer.
I've received just wonderful feedback from parents and grandparents about the summer camp program. Why don't you tell us about what we did this year and there?
We operate summer camp programs at the same sites where the after-school program will soon pick up. And so it's at Welcome All, Sandtown, Burdett, and Cliftondale.
They've given me a signal. We have to break for a moment, Tony,
Certainly.
and when we come back, we want to talk about that summer camp program.
Yes, ma'am.
Because of that relationship between both programs.
Amen. Yes.
We'll be back in a moment. Mr. Phillips, you were telling us that actually, even though they may be listed on your work plan as separate programs, summer camp and after school, they actually are linked together, right?
They are, because many of the children that participate throughout the school year in our after-school program transition almost without break into our summer program. And so it provides a real opportunity to continue to service those families during the months when school is out. And we found that that's really important. Now, in the summer, our program expands from being an afternoon program to being a full day program. We begin at 7 in the morning, and we have our children with us up until 6 o'clock in the evening. So it is a full day full of recreational activities, arts and crafts, field trips, just a number of things to keep children engaged in a healthy way. We have
they
summer
are certainly
reading.
engaged.
Oh, yes, ma'am. And there's never
All
a dull
you have
moment.
to do is drop by. You'll see they are really engaged.
If you'd like to get a little adrenaline in your day, then stop by and see the children. They'll certainly do that for you. And we've also found, in terms of meeting needs, Commissioner Darnell, that that program is really vital in that. And I know that you're well versed and aware of this, that there's a lot of data that suggests that during the summer months that children who get healthy meals through their school lunch program may not have that same resource available during the summer months. And so there's a lot
Most of them do not.
Yes, ma'am.
We were surprised to look at your statistics and the evidence.
Yes, ma'am.
And it showed that we have many children
Many.
who are really eligible for free lunch at school, which means that there is a possibility they may not have really a meal during the summer.
That's exactly what the information we've seen and our experience in working with families and children has shown us.
You didn't have to get yours out of the book. You've seen it in working with the children.
Our staff sees it up close and personal every day.
Yes.
And so, understanding that need, we have partnered with the USDA Summer Food Service Program for the last several years to provide free lunch for all of our summer camp participants. Actually,
breakfast too, don't you?
breakfast and lunch. You're correct, Commissioner Darnell. And so they're healthy, nutritious meals based on USDA guidelines, and they're provided free of charge for all of our camp participants as part of the camp program. And so that helps to close that summer food gap that often exists in communities where children who, to your point, get that that food service program during free lunch during the school year. This program helps to bridge that gap and helps to make sure.
So many folks have mentioned that to me, and we know we had a little challenge with that program at one time, and we were really pleased when your department working with aging.
Yes, ma'am.
You all put your resources together and just really got it going. And I had several folks to mention to me their children are not eligible for free lunch program. Their children have meals during the summer. But they said, I was glad to see that you started that food program back again. And, you know, I think it's important for us to point that out, Mr. Phillips, because actually many of our folks, they look at how other children are doing, not just how their children are doing. I know you all see that every day, though, don't you?
We do, and that is what community really is in many ways.
That's what it's about, isn't it? Caring about somebody else other than yourself.
And as we benefit all families, it helps everyone. And so caring about
That's the
each
way
other,
it is, isn't it?
That's the way it works. And
Yes.
so we've experienced in that when we provide those resources, it benefits the community as a whole. And not every
Yes.
child needs a free lunch, but for those who do, it helps to create an even playing field. And to make sure that
Yes.
every child gets a nutritious meal throughout the summer. And that's important. And so we found that those types of partnerships with USDA and working with sister departments in the county, reaching out and working with children and
So
youth.
you all actually have partnerships right here with your colleagues,
yes,
don't
ma'am.
you?
Yes, ma'am. And you know, I'm a firm believer, and I know many of the other directors in the county are, that we don't need to reinvent the wheel.
That's
And
right.
oftentimes we seek input and direction from other departments in the county that work in a similar arena.
I see that so often.
Yes, ma'am.
And it really has a real impact on people, because that's what we're about.
Right. We have a very, very experienced staff in children and youth, and because so much of our mandate in Parks and Recreation is about children, it only makes sense that we share information, that we share programs and opportunities where we can.
Yeah, I think they call them silos, you know, now. Of course, we had another name for them.
Yes, ma'am.
But the silos have become rather passe now. I'm over here, I have my department, I have my staff, I have my building, and I have my program, and we have no connection with anything else. But I'm very, very pleased to see that with respect to programs that involve children and youth and their families, that you all work together. You doing anything with the Children and Youth Division? I think that was the division that worked with you on the food program, right?
Yes, ma'am. They've worked with us on the food program.
And other programs too, though, haven't they?
Yes, Youth Leadership Academy for boys and Youth Leadership
Yes.
Academy for girls have
Yes,
both been
those
housed
programs,
in
yeah.
recent years at Parks and Recreation facilities.
Yes.
And so we partner, we share some of our transportation resources to help facilitate field
This
trips.
is what people would like to hear about.
Yes, ma'am. And you know, in many ways, departments like Children and Youth and even Arts and Culture, who also services
Yes,
children.
Arts and Culture is another one I noticed that
right.
you all work with.
And so we share information and resources when and where we can, because at the end of the day, we're all servicing the same community, and in many instances, the same families.
Yes.
And so it only makes sense that we find those
Certainly in my
opportunities.
district you are. Well, I think this is very, very important, and I think that certainly we're going to have to do even more of that
Yes.
in the future. I think that the folks probably need to know that we did get a little help with our equipment.
Yes, ma'am.
When you pass by some of the parks, you know, sort of takes you back to another era. I think we have some good news for folks about that. Tell them about the program that we planned
Yes, ma'am.
in terms of replacing and upgrading equipment. We began at Welcome All.
Yes, we did.
This past week. And I think maybe folks would like to hear about the total plan, because we really have, about 12 parks involved?
Yes, ma'am. There
Yes.
are 12 parks involved, and so we began, as you mentioned, at Welcome All Park just a short while ago, and had just a tremendous day for our community. It was just...
Ooh, and the children were so happy.
Oh, they were, and it was just fortunate to be a part of that and to see the impact it had. We had two initiatives that actually debuted on that day, Commissioner Darnell. The first was supported by our Board of Commissioners in Fulton County, and you mentioned the fact that we have...
That means the taxpayers.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
That's the proper way to say that, by the taxpayers
by
in
the
Fulton County.
taxpayers of Fulton County. We have to do what they say.
Yes, ma'am.
And they've made it very clear this is an area of priority.
Right.
You
And
know, so we have to do what they say. That budget has to reflect what people want, because it's their money.
because of the taxpayers in Fulton County, we were able to fund new playground equipment at 6 parks in this current year.
Yeah,
And that's
6 this year and 6 next year.
and 6 next year.
Yes.
And in most of those parks, there had not been new equipment in close to 10 years.
It's amazing.
And so it was a great day when we started at Welcome All Park and debuted first a new playground, which is just state of the art.
Yeah,
In fact,
it's
some of the
fabulous.
equipment used there, Commissioner Darnell, is some of the first instances of that being used in the entire state of Georgia.
You're
so it's
kidding.
really, yeah. There's a dome facility
I
that
saw
they
the
have
dome.
there. That's the
Yes.
first one in the state of Georgia. There are others across the country. And so we're excited that we were able to bring that, working with our taxpayers, to Fulton County Parks and Recreation, particularly Welcome All Park. But also, at the same time, we talked a little bit earlier about partnerships. We were fortunate in that we were able to begin a dialogue with the Atlanta Hawks Foundation. And it proved to be very fruitful for us. It led to
Yes.
the renovation of the outdoor basketball court at Welcome All, which again had not been resurfaced in a number of years.
They did a job.
And the Hawks came in and literally put in a state-of-the-art outdoor surface.
They did more than bring equipment
Oh,
too.
they did much more than
They
that.
came there.
They came there
And they
on
spoke
that
to
day.
the parents and
They
the
did.
kids.
They did. And in addition to the court, which in and of itself was a tremendous asset for
It's
that community,
beautiful.
because it's our busiest park, and most of the residents in that area would tell you there's hardly a day that you can go by Welcome All when it's not busy and buzzing with activity.
Yes.
So that court's going to get a lot of tremendous use in that community.
Yes,
but
it
they
will.
also conducted basketball camps at 3 of our gymnasiums the preceding
Yes.
week. And
Yes,
so,
we saw that.
so we had 225 kids.
This
that
wasn't
went
the
through
first
there.
year they had done those basketball camps.
No,
is it?
ma'am. They've done them in many years. This is the first year that they've done them with Fulton County Parks and Recreation.
Is that
so
right?
we were excited to bring that
Fantastic.
to our community because other communities had that resource in the past, and we wanted to make sure that we could use that partnership to bring those resources and that camp to our children as well.
Well, Mr. Phillips, we are just very, very pleased to get this good news
Yes,
from the
ma'am.
Department of Parks and Recreation, because as I've said probably too many times for most folks, this government is about people. It's not about paper.
Amen.
You
Yes,
know,
ma'am.
we have some nice public relations, but it's really about people. And wherever I have been, I've been now to about 18 really community meetings where we've talked to the leadership of the community as well as to all of the neighbors. And everywhere we go, you know, folks say, well, we got to do something about these children. They understand you can have 10,000 policemen on the corner, but if you neglect your children, you're going to continue to have problems in this area. And policemen can't do it all.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much for coming in, Tony. I wish we had more time. I'm going to have your number placed on the screen, though, so that folks can find out more about that after-school program.
Yes,
Because
ma'am.
I can tell you now, they're going to want to know more.
We'll be happy
Thank
to
you
have it.
so much.
Thank you so
Mr.
much,
Phillips,
Commissioner
and also let us give our thanks to your staff, some of the finest employees that we have.
They certainly are. I'm fortunate to be able to work with such good employees.
Yes, sir. Thank you again so very, very much, and we look forward to continuing our tour
Yes, ma'am.
of the parks. Thank you so very, very much. We'll be back in a moment with closing thoughts. Who cares? Who really cares? Well, you know the answer. We care, you care, and I care. And because we care and really care, others are willing to step up and help us. Teens have come back to Sandtown Park to help with summer camp. A nonprofit youth organization has joined us at Creel Park to help us with our teens. As you've heard during this program, the Hawks brought more than hoops to Welcome All. They brought hope and love and encouragement, and the children could see it. They understand, as all of us must understand, that every child has a right to learn and grow, and to die on time and not before time. That's all the time we have for today. But until next time, stay strong. To learn more about today's conversation, contact me at 404-612-8222. That's 404-612-8222. You can also email me at emma.darnell@fultoncountyga.gov. Visit us online at emmadarnell.com or connect with us on Facebook or Twitter.